It's been a long, bumpy ride, sitting back in the saddle. It's time to get down, dirty up my knees into battle.
We're SlikRok Productions, and I want to take a minute and talk about Super ATV. I want to talk about them as a company, and I want to talk about some of their parts. So we've got some feedback from some guys on the internet who say that we're supporting China. They say that they're the Walmart of aftermarket parts when it comes to UTVs, and I'm standing here to correct that. I've literally had dinner with the guy who owns Super ATV. These guys are from Indiana. Their facilities in Indiana. We've been there where they make parts. These guys, the reason that I sponsor them and they sponsor us is because they make quality parts. They have great customer service, and we've ran a ton of their parts. And there's been very little that's ever come out of those guys that we don't fully get behind. And so I want to take a minute. I want to show you some of the parts that we're running from these guys. And I want to show you why we like Super ATV. So we decided that we needed to build a chase vehicle. We get in a lot of situations out on the trail where we just don't have enough storage space in our cars to carry all of our equipment, to carry extra parts. And so we built us a Ranger crew. And we have some crazy boxes being made for this right now. We're going to put a lot of our equipment in it, but we decided before we actually did that, we wanted to spend a month and a half out on the trail in this rig, make sure it was capable, make sure it was tough. The reason I chose Super ATV is because nowhere on the planet has got a better selection for Ranger parts than these guys. You can literally go on and fill a shopping cart and build you a beast with Super ATV. So I'd like to go over kind of some of the stuff that we put on this rig, some of the modifications we did, and explain to you why. So obviously, if this thing's going to be a recovery unit, it's going to chase us around, it's got to have a lot of clearance. And so we went with Super ATV's box day arms for that. They're extremely tough. We put a frame reinforcement plate on there. They have uniballs in them, which are a lot tougher than ball joints are. We did a heavy duty steering kit on it, and we went with 4-inch portals. The portals make the gearing a lot lower so we can run bigger tires to get the clearance, and it helps this big heavy rig get up the hills, and they do a really good job at that. And another thing we did, if we're going to have a recovery unit, obviously you're going to have winches. We went with their bumpers front and rear. I like the look of them. I like the recessed lights in them. We went with double winches from Super ATV, one on the front, one on the back. And we've ran about 10 or 12 Super ATV winches. They're $300. We've never had one break. Those are a good bang for the buck. But the thing I'm probably the most excited about is the cab. I'd like to show you that. So we kind of knew going into this that our girls would end up driving this. So we wanted it to be really comfortable. So we put a heater in it, we put an AC unit in it, but we needed to put an enclosure on it. And so Polaris's enclosures are kind of hard to see out of. They're a little big, they're a little bulky, and furthermore, they're really expensive. And I saw these when we were in Indiana. This is Super ATV's enclosure, and this enclosure is scratch resistant. They're already tinted. They're 1/4 inch thick. I ran this thing through a bunch of trees. We were out trail riding the other night, and the trail we were on was really overgrown with trees. We were out in the snow, and I ran trees up and down the side of this thing. There's not one scratch in it. And furthermore, it seals really well. I took this thing through an automatic car wash with me in it. It doesn't leak water. It doesn't get mud in it. When you're driving 50 miles an hour down the road, it's not breathing air into it. It keeps the heat inside the cab or the cool air inside the cab. And I really like that part of it. They look really nice. They're made out of hardened steel. The frames on them, they're powder coated. The latches are really tough on them. This thing's been on here for 400 or 500 hard miles. I haven't adjusted these doors once. They function really well. So this is one of my favorite pieces of this machine is the enclosure. But the last thing I really want to talk about is Super ATV's new rock tires. So one of the things that aggravates me a little bit is most of the rock tires, the stickies, don't have very good tread designs on them. Super ATV sent us these a couple of months ago. This is their new Warrior RT tire. It should be out in the pretty near future. I don't believe it's out yet. But this is a sticky rubber compound tire. This is an aggressive directional tread pattern sticky rubber compound. I was really excited when I saw this tire just for that reason alone. So I've had this tire in the mud, I've had it in the snow. I put a couple 100 miles on this tire on asphalt. It's not chunky, it's not showing any signs of wear, and it is extremely sticky on the rocks. This thing propelled this thing over some really steep ledges. It really adheres to the rocks. I really like this tire, and I'm looking forward to see what sizes they come out with because I want to run them on a bunch of our cars. So when we put this rig together, we had some goals in mind. I needed this rig to be functional, I needed it to be tough, I needed it to be very capable, and I wanted it to look cool, and I think we accomplished all those things. Almost everything on this machine came from superatv.com, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. If you're looking to build a machine, I don't care if it's a Ranger, a Razor, a Can-Am, a T-Rex, whatever side-by-side that you're building, check out superatv.com. They have some great parts, and we'll catch you on the next video.